I remember the first time I blew up an account. I was young, cocky, and convinced the market was a puzzle I could outsmart. That night after the close, I sat staring at the empty ledger in my boarding house room. The numbers burned into my eyes like fire. I had nothing left. Not a dime. My pride was shattered. My dreams gone. And yet, deep inside, something whispered. This wasn't the end. This was the tuition. That's the brutal truth of speculation. The path is littered with broken accounts, the ghosts of men who thought they could outwit the tape. They weren't stupid. Many were brave, determined, even brilliant. But they lacked something far more important than brains or courage. They lacked a philosophy, a structure, a way of thinking that turned speculation from gambling into business. I learned, painfully, that the market is not a place for ego. It's not a place for hope. It's not even a place for raw intelligence. It's a place where discipline and patience rule. If you walk in armed only with tips and excitement, you will be stripped bare before the week is out. You see, most people think of trading as a battlefield where the bold win by charging first. They imagine success comes from having a clever opinion or some inside scoop. But the real game, the one I bled millions to understand, is simpler and crueler. It's not about being right. It's about surviving long enough to catch the big moves when they come. I want you to imagine this. A speculator walks into the market every morning as if he's entering a casino. He bets, he hopes, he sweats. And one day he's gone. Another man walks in differently. He doesn't throw chips. He watches. He waits. He risks small, and only when the odds are tilted. Over years, this man endures. He grows. He becomes rich, not from brilliance, but from discipline. That difference, that razor's edge between ruin and fortune, is what I'm here to teach you. Not theories, not formulas, but the golden rules I carved into my soul through victory and defeat. They're not suggestions. They're not nice to know. They are commandments etched in blood that decide whether you end as one of the ghosts or one of the survivors. The first of these truths is simple, yet it took me years to stop fighting it. Prices move along the line of least resistance. That's the market's secret. Not mysticism. Not magic. Just the path of what comes easiest. When there's less resistance to an advance than a decline, prices will rise. When the opposite is true, they will fall. Your job, my job, every trader's job, is to stop fighting the tide and start riding it. I lost fortunes trying to outsmart the tide. Being bullish in a bear market wasn't courage, it was suicide. Being bearish in a bull wasn't clever, it was arrogance. The market doesn't care about my opinion, my research, or my pride. It only rewards alignment with its flow. Think of it this way. The market is the ocean. You're not Poseidon. You don't command the waves. You're a surfer. Your only hope is to paddle at the right time, catch the swell, and ride it for all it's worth. Swim against it, and you drown. Now, let me tell you a story that burned this lesson into me forever. I once watched the market climb, while I stubbornly held on to a short position. I told myself, it has to fall soon. It's gone too far. Every uptick felt like an insult, every new high like a personal attack. My ego couldn't accept being wrong. So I held on. And the market, indifferent to my suffering, kept rising. My losses grew until they were unbearable, and when I finally covered, I was ruined. That was the day I understood. The market is never wrong. The tape speaks its truth without emotion, without agenda. If you're on the wrong side, it doesn't matter how smart you are, you're finished. From then on, I made a vow. I would never again fight the trend. This rule, to trade only with the line of least resistance, requires a virtue most traders don't have, patience. There are long stretches when the market moves sideways, confused and undecided. The amateur, desperate for action, nibbles away his capital on meaningless trades. But the professional waits. He knows his job isn't to be constantly in the market. His job is to sit quietly until the tide turns clear. I remember sitting for weeks, sometimes months, without a single trade. Other men laughed, called me timid. But when the line of least resistance revealed itself, I struck hard and clean. One good trade paid for all the waiting, and saved me from the bleeding the amateurs endured. The second rule is the one that saved my life more times than I can count. Cut your losses quickly. If there is one sentence I could hammer into the mind of every trader, it's this: profits take care of themselves, but losses never do. I've watched men cradle their losses like sick children, hoping they'll recover. I've done it myself. You buy a stock at 50, it slips to 47. You tell yourself, it'll bounce. I'll get out at break even. But the market doesn't care what you need. That 47 becomes 42, then 35, and soon your account is bleeding out. The first loss is the smallest. It is the cheapest tuition the market offers you. It's the market whispering, "You were wrong. Pay a small fee and walk away." Refuse, and that whisper becomes a shout, then a scream, until you're wiped out. I learned this through agony. I once held a losing trade so long it hollowed me out. Every day I told myself, tomorrow it will turn. Tomorrow never came. By the time I closed the position, I wasn't just broke, I was broken. That day I swore, the first loss is always the best loss. Cutting losses isn't weakness. It's strength. It's admitting you're human, that your judgment isn't perfect. It's the act of a professional, not an amateur. Because in this game, survival is victory. And survival depends on protecting your capital, like a soldier guards his last bullet. When you're losing, hope is your enemy. Hope keeps you chained to a sinking ship. Fear is your friend. Fear forces you to jump before the water rises over your head. Remember this, you don't need to be right all the time. You only need to survive long enough to catch the times when you are spectacularly right. There's another trap I fell into more times than I care to admit. It's the flip side of cutting losses. When a trade went my way, when I finally had a profit, fear would creep in. I'd hear that little voice whisper, "Take it now, before it disappears, before the market snatches it back." So I'd grab a few quick points, close the trade, and pat myself on the back. But then I'd watch the stock keep rising, climbing and climbing, until it was 20, 50, even 100 points higher without me. I made peanuts while the real fortune passed me by. That's when I understood the third golden rule. Let your profits run. The big money in trading isn't made from the little daily wiggles. It's made from sitting tight through a powerful trend. That's what separates the gambler from the speculator. The gambler grabs crumbs. The speculator waits for the feast. I'll never forget old man Partridge. Whenever someone asked if they should sell during a roaring bull market, he'd just smile and say, "Well, this is a bull market." It sounded simple, even foolish, but it was the deepest wisdom. His point was clear. When the tide is in your favor, stop fussing, stop overthinking, and ride it. Of course, this takes a kind of emotional control most people don't have. To watch your profits dip during a normal pullback without panicking is torture. Every fiber of your being screams, "Get out before it vanishes." But the market always tests you. It shakes out the weak hands so only the patient are left to reap the rewards. And that brings me to the cardinal sin of speculation, the mistake that nearly destroyed me and countless others: averaging down. Never, ever add to a losing position. That is not courage, that is lunacy. It is doubling down on a mistake. I learned this the hard way in cotton. I was convinced it had to go up. Every time it dropped, I told myself, "It's cheaper now, a better bargain. I'll buy more." But the market doesn't care about your bargains. It doesn't care about your logic. It kept falling. I kept buying. By the end, I wasn't trading cotton anymore. Cotton was trading me. That trade nearly ended me for good. It taught me that throwing more money at a loser is just feeding the fire that's burning you. A small wound can be cleaned and healed. But if you keep cutting into it, it turns into an infection that rots you from the inside out. So I made it law. I will never average down. The tape has spoken. If my trade is wrong, the market is telling me the truth. I must listen. I cut it, I walk away, I survive to trade another day. Instead of averaging down, I learned the smarter, wealth-building strategy. Pyramid winners. Add to strength, not weakness. If my first trade is working, if the market confirms me with profit, then, and only then, I'll add. I'll build into success, never into failure. That way, my biggest positions are always in trades that are already paying me. My losers are cut before they can do damage. My winners grow, financed by the market itself. That is how fortunes are built, not by fighting the market, but by reinforcing victory. Now, I need to talk about the most dangerous trading enemy you'll ever face. And it isn't the market. It isn't the big banks. It isn't the insiders. It's you. Your own mind will betray you faster than any ticker tape. I've seen traders beg for tips, chase rumors, follow the crowd, and then wonder why they're always broke. The truth is, they were never trading the market. They were trading their own hopes and fears. Take greed. Greed makes you blind. It makes you see patterns where none exist. It convinces you to buy at the top because you can't stand the thought of missing out. Greed whispers, just one more trade, just one more point, then I'll stop. But there's never just one more. There's always another. And eventually, the market takes it all back, with interest. Then there's fear. Fear makes you sell too soon. Fear makes you freeze when you should act. Fear makes you cling to losing trades because you can't admit you were wrong. I've seen men hold a stock all the way down to ruin, simply because they couldn't bear to take the loss when it was small. But the worst of all? Hope. Hope is a poison in trading. When you're losing, hope is the voice that says, it'll come back. Just give it time. Don't sell now, you'll regret it. Hope turns a mistake into a disaster. The market doesn't deal in hope. It deals in cold, hard facts. That's why the successful trader must learn detachment. Not indifference, mind you. You must care enough to study, to prepare, to execute with discipline. But once the trade is placed, you must be as cold as ice. No prayers. No bargains. Just the tape. I recall a day in New York when the whole office was buzzing about a steel stock. Everyone swore it was about to break out. I looked at the tape and saw weakness. They laughed at me when I sold. A week later, that stock collapsed. Most of those men never recovered. They were trading their emotions. I was trading the truth in front of me. And yet, don't think I mastered this overnight. I was tested again and again. I'd cut my losses 100 times, only to get cocky and break my own rules on the 101st. Every time I did, the market punished me. Slowly, painfully, I learned that discipline isn't something you practice once. It's something you live by, every single day. Here's the irony. The market doesn't beat you, you beat yourself. Every blown account I've ever seen, including my own, wasn't destroyed by bad luck. It was destroyed by bad behavior. A trader without self-control is like a ship without a rudder. One storm, and it's gone. So when I say the market is a mirror, I mean it. It reflects back the truth about you. Your strengths, your flaws, your discipline, your weakness. Most men can't handle that. They run from the mirror. They'd rather blame the news, the brokers, the big operators, anyone but themselves. But here's the strange gift. If you face the mirror, if you let the market show you who you really are, then trading becomes the greatest teacher you'll ever have. It'll humble you, it'll break you, but it will also rebuild you. Stronger, sharper, calmer. That's why I say speculation isn't about making money. Money is the byproduct. The real prize is mastery of yourself. There's another lesson the market drilled into me. Patience. Not the kind where you sit idly by, but the razor-sharp patience of a hunter waiting for the perfect shot. Most traders can't wait. They itch to be in the market all the time. They fear missing action more than they fear losing money. So they jump at shadows, chasing every wiggle. The result? Death by 1,000 cuts. I remember one young fellow, bursting with energy, couldn't stand a quiet tape. He'd buy 1 minute, sell the next, convinced he was being active. After 6 months, his account was bled dry, nickel by nickel. He didn't lose on any grand blunder. He lost because he never learned to wait. The truth is, the market only offers a handful of truly great opportunities each year. The rest is noise. My biggest fortunes came not from constant trading, but from sitting tight through the rare, powerful moves when everything lined up. Patience means waiting for the right setup. But it also means doing nothing while you're in a winning position. That's the hardest kind of patience, staying put when your instincts scream at you to grab the profit and run. One of the greatest errors is to confuse activity with progress. Wall Street loves noise, loves excitement, loves the image of constant motion. But the real money is made in silence, in waiting. That's why I say, don't just do something, sit there. But don't mistake patience for laziness. Behind the waiting is constant preparation. I studied the tape every day, even when I wasn't trading. I built mental pictures of stocks, sectors, and trends, like a general studying maps before the battle. That way, when the true moment arrived, I recognized it instantly. Another vital lesson: never argue with the market. I've seen traders spend more energy defending their opinion than protecting their capital. They'd say, the market's wrong, it should be higher. But the market is never wrong. Your opinion is. Prices may look irrational, but they are truth in motion. When I was young, I'd try to outsmart the tape. I thought I was cleverer than the crowd. That arrogance cost me dearly. It took years before I understood. My job isn't to predict, it's to align myself with what is. The market is reality. The tape is the teacher. And let me give you another truth. Tips are poison. I've lost more listening to others than I ever did on my own mistakes. Tips make you lazy. They short-circuit your judgment. They fill you with false confidence. I learned to distrust every sure thing whispered in my ear. There was a broker once who swore up and down about a railroad stock. Said the insiders were buying. Said it was a lock. Against my better judgment, I bought. Within weeks, I was staring at a devastating loss. That was the last time I let another man's conviction replace my own. In trading, you must do your own thinking, your own planning, your own execution. If you win, let it be your victory. If you lose, let it be your lesson. Rely on others, and you'll never build the conviction required to hold when it matters most. So I say again, patience, detachment, independence. These aren't just trading virtues. They're life virtues. They'll save you in markets, and they'll save you outside them too. Now let's speak about overtrading, the silent killer of accounts. If impatience is the spark, overtrading is the wildfire. I used to believe the more trades I made, the more money I'd earn. Activity felt like progress. I'd enter and exit 10, 20 times a day, chasing every flicker on the tape. At the end of the week, I was exhausted, anxious, and usually poorer than when I started. The truth is, the market doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for accuracy, for timing, for discipline. One great trade in a month can pay more than 100 careless ones. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, I knew a fellow trader. Let's call him Morris. Morris believed in working hard. He'd be glued to the ticker from open to close, never missing a beat, making dozens of tiny trades. His office looked busy, impressive, alive. But after a year, despite all his sweat, his ledger showed nothing but red. Meanwhile, another trader we knew made only a handful of big trades each season. He studied, he waited, then he struck hard. Quiet office, no drama, just steady profits. Guess which one was still in the game 10 years later? That's the cruel lesson of speculation. Effort doesn't equal reward. In fact, the harder you try to force profits, the more the market resists you. The best trades often feel effortless, almost obvious, because they align with the larger tide. But here's the real danger of overtrading. It drains your emotional capital. Every trade, win or lose, takes a piece of your focus and confidence. If you waste that energy on noise, when the real opportunity finally comes, you'll be too tired or too shaken to act with size. It's like a boxer who throws wild punches in every round. By the time the real opening appears, he's too exhausted to land the knockout blow. Another illusion that destroys traders is the dream of quick riches. They think one big score will solve everything. They double their size, triple their leverage, swinging for the fences. Some even get lucky once, but luck is the cruelest teacher. It convinces you that recklessness is skill. And sooner or later, the market takes it all back, with interest. I fell into that trap in my 20s. I believed I could turn a small stake into a fortune overnight. And sometimes I did. But each time, the house of cards collapsed. Only when I started thinking in terms of years, not days, did my fortune truly grow. Speculation isn't about jackpots. It's about compounding discipline. It's about surviving long enough to be present when the great moves unfold. If you're always swinging for instant wealth, you won't last to see it. So here's the rule. Trade less, but trade better. Guard your capital, guard your emotions, and wait for the fat pitch. The market will always be here tomorrow. Your job is to make sure you are too. Trading is a lonely business. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You can sit in a crowded brokerage office, with a dozen men shouting at the tape, but in the end, you're alone with your decisions. No one shares your profits. No one carries your losses. When the account is wiped out, there's no committee to blame. It's you. Always you. I used to crave the noise, the chatter, the company of other traders. I thought being around the crowd meant I was learning, meant I was safe. But over time, I realized that the crowd is the most dangerous place for a speculator. The crowd breeds hysteria. When everyone is bullish, you feel foolish for hesitating. When everyone panics, you feel insane for holding steady. That's how fortunes are lost, by letting the crowd's emotions override your own judgment. One afternoon, during a vicious sell-off, I watched grown men scream, curse, even weep at the tape. They sold everything in terror. I felt the same fear clawing at my gut. But the tape told me the selling was overdone. I held my ground. A week later, prices rebounded sharply, and I walked away with profits while the rest licked their wounds. That day I learned. To succeed, you must think independently, even when it hurts. Independence means trusting your system, your discipline, your observations more than the chatter. It means accepting the solitude of being right while the world insists you're wrong. And let me tell you, there's no lonelier place than being right too early. But here's the paradox. While trading isolates you, it also reveals you. It's a mirror that strips away pretense. Are you patient or reckless? Calm or impulsive? Honest or self-deceptive? The market will tell you, brutally and without mercy. I recall a time when I thought I had conquered my weakness. I strung together months of steady gains. My confidence swelled into arrogance. Then, one rash trade, one break of discipline, wiped out half my year's profits. I sat in silence that night, staring at my books, realizing I wasn't the master I thought I was. The market had humbled me once again. And yet, those humiliations became my greatest teachers. Without them, I'd never have grown. Failure in trading isn't the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. Every loss, every mistake, carved lessons into me that no book could ever teach. That's why I tell traders, don't run from your failures. Don't hide them, don't excuse them, don't bury them under anger or shame. Study them. Own them. They are the tuition you pay for the privilege of staying in this game. But remember, tuition only pays off if you learn. Too many men repeat the same mistake until it ruins them. They swear they'll never chase again, then chase the very next rally. They swear they'll cut losses, then watch another stock sink into oblivion. Learning means change. Without change, failure is just waste. So embrace the loneliness. Embrace the failures. They forge the discipline, the resilience, the steel nerves that speculation demands. If you can't endure them, you have no business in this arena. There's a cost to speculation that no one warns you about. Everyone sees the headlines about fortunes won, but few see the toll it takes. The sleepless nights, the gnawing anxiety, the endless pressure of knowing one wrong move can undo years of work. Money made in markets isn't free. It's earned with nerves, discipline, and sometimes a piece of your soul. I've seen men win millions and lose themselves, becoming restless, joyless, consumed by the chase. I know, because I was one of them. There was a time when I thought money would solve everything. If I could just make enough, I'd be free. Free from worry, free from struggle, free to live as I pleased. But the more I won, the higher the stakes climbed. Each victory only fed the hunger for the next. Peace never came. That's the cruel paradox of speculation. You can win everything and still feel empty. You can have fortune and fame, yet be haunted by the knowledge that one mistake could erase it all. The market gives, but it never lets you forget it can take. So, what's the answer? It isn't to quit, not if speculation runs in your blood. For me, trading wasn't just about money, it was the ultimate test of mind against market, discipline against chaos. Walking away would have been like cutting out a part of myself. The answer is balance. Guard your health. Guard your relationships. Guard your mind. No fortune is worth losing your sanity over. If you don't master yourself outside the market, you'll never master yourself inside it. I once knew a trader who made a killing in wheat. He bought estates, cars, jewels, the whole parade. But inside, he was hollow. When the market turned against him, he lost not just his fortune, but his will. That's when I realized. Wealth without inner strength is just gilded fragility. So if you take nothing else from my words, take this. Trading is a mirror of life. It demands patience, discipline, courage, and humility. It punishes arrogance, greed, and self-deception. And in teaching you how to survive in the market, it teaches you how to survive yourself. Cut losses quickly. Because in life, small mistakes left unchecked grow into disasters. Let profits run. Because true rewards come only with time and conviction. Never average down. Because doubling mistakes destroys futures. Trade less but better. Because quality beats noise in every arena. And above all, face the mirror. Learn who you are, change what you must, and never stop evolving. The market won't hand you riches easily. But if you let it, it will hand you wisdom worth more than gold. And in the end, that wisdom is what endures. Long after the profits are spent, long after the tape stops printing. So I leave you with this. Speculation is not just about markets. It's about the endless battle within. If you can master that, the profits will come. If you can't, no amount of money will ever save you. So here we are. After all the lessons, all the scars, all the golden rules, what's the real truth about speculation? It isn't about finding the secret formula. It isn't about chasing tips, shortcuts, or quick riches. It's about survival. Survival first, profit second. Because only the trader who survives long enough gets the chance to see the great moves, the fortune-making trends, the opportunities that only reveal themselves once in a generation. And survival isn't luck, it's discipline. It's the willingness to cut the rope on sinking ships. It's the courage to ride winners when your instincts scream to cash out. It's the humility to admit mistakes fast, and the patience to wait for the real play instead of wasting bullets on noise. If you take this path seriously, you'll soon realize the market isn't really your opponent. You are. Your fear. Your greed. Your ego. Your impatience. These are the enemies. The charts, the tape, the price action. They're just mirrors reflecting what you refuse to see inside yourself. That's why speculation feels so personal, so raw, so unforgiving. It's not just money you're risking. It's your identity, your discipline, your ability to stay true when the world tempts you to falter. So remember Jesse Livermore's legacy, not as a set of rules carved in stone, but as the voice of experience whispering through the chaos. Respect risk. Follow the trend. Cut losses. Sit tight. Never average down. Build on strength. Wait for confirmation. Protect your capital. Master yourself. Beware of tips. 10 golden rules. 10 commandments of survival. Break them and you'll pay. Follow them, and you might just earn your seat at the table of legends. The market doesn't care about you, but it will teach you if you're willing to listen. It will strip you bare, burn away your illusions, and force you to grow tougher, wiser, calmer. That's the real treasure. The profits are just the byproduct. So if you've felt the sting of loss, the thrill of victory, the pull of temptation, you're not alone. Every trader walks this path. Some fall, some endure, and a rare few rise above. The choice is yours. Will you let the market break you? Or will you master the only thing you truly control, yourself? If you're committed to walking this path with discipline and clarity, hit subscribe. Return to these lessons whenever the noise of the market drowns out your judgment. And remember, speculation is not a game of chance. It's a lifelong test of character. Trade well. Stay disciplined. And never forget, the market is always bigger than you. Respect it, and it may just reward you with more than money. It may give you mastery over yourself.